Hello, welcome to another episode of a Melanated Hypothesis podcast with your girl Tori V, aka Victoria Littlejohn. And it's Friday, so you know what that means. We have another dope guest with a dope perspective.
Mm.
I'm so glad you're here. Okay, so introduce yourself to the collective.
Oh wow. Okay. Omari Ajamu is my name. Ajanaku. Omari means the highest. Ajamu means he who fights for what he wants, and Ajanaku means free and wealthy people. It's from East Africa and Kenya, Swahili.
I love that. So, is that the name your parents gave you, or did you change your name?
My mother gave me.
Are you originally from Africa?
If I trace back far enough, from Chicago and grew up in Langston, Guthrie, in the Oklahoma area.
So, what made her give you this name?
To do different, to lead by example, and that's just my interpretation of it.
Hmm. Okay, so I want to know, Omari, I want to go back to
Oh
your
wow.
childhood.
Okay.
What kind of culture did
Um,
you come up in?
what culture did I grow up in? A lot of positive African American pictures from the kente cloth, which is fabric that's made from or have designs that come from. So before I saw what society had from me, I just saw a lot of just positive images when it comes to how they dress, how they walk, how they communicate, how we wore dashikis, how we wore the dresses made of the same print. My grandmother made her own clothes, and so I saw just a lot of this community cohesion um, and a positive that self worth. I think that was the biggest thing they could have given me is that self worth within myself to know what it looks like, to know what it feels like, to love yourself and to love those around you.
Mm. Okay, so was this in Chicago?
Well, I traveled. I came to Oklahoma in eighth grade. I spent a
Mm.
little time in Atlanta, a little time in Memphis, um, some time in Oklahoma, some time in Chicago, and traveled between those states.
Mm. So you got that culture, that grounding from your family, but then also got to
Hmm.
experience different type of just people in culture in general.
I feel that way. Just a little bit of everything. At the same time, I mean, given both energies and both perspectives, it was unstable. Didn't see what I would call my friends or people in the community I'm close to consistently. I saw them as just, I look up one week, I'm in Memphis. Okay. Then in 2 months from now, I'm back in Chicago. And then we're going back to um, little time in Georgia. And then it's just maybe some time in Atlanta. And then it was unstable. But at the same time, I feel like they indoctrinated me to the right things. That's just my opinion.
Okay, so when do you feel like you hit stability?
When I came to Oklahoma, Oklahoma was what was the most stable. We didn't after we got here in Langston, we didn't move a lot after that. And what helped me a lot was Langston University too. Um, I grew up pretty much on the campus of Langston, and just seeing that black excellence and black professionals and professors of different studies. I feel like that boosted it as well because it showed me that it was possible. And then I grew comfortable with it to where it was an everyday image, to where it wasn't an anomaly for me to see it. So okay, well, there's still one so that I've seen all the time. So it's just that I feel like the HBCU did me right when it comes to this my programming and this type of things I saw on a consistent basis.
Okay, so you said something, and it made me think about the exposure you had.
Hmm.
So, what is the duality of that exposure you had, the good and the bad of it?
Um, the bad of it, I always start with the negative, so we just get that out the way. Well, I didn't have a real stable male figure. I had male figures, plural, but I didn't have that one I was able to lean on consistently. I either moved away or they moved away. Um, and so that was a negative. I didn't have that really stability that I felt I needed. Looking back, while at the same time, my mother did the best she could, and her work ethic is incredible, and I feel like that's why I work the way I work because there's no excuses because I saw what she would do. She would come home, working double shifts, still provide for us, give us love, and I do her best to play that role. While at the same time, we learning. This is a metaphor. We're learning Spanish together. So how's she gonna teach me how to speak Spanish when she has the book and she's rifling through the pages to figure out what to say, what this word means? So it was an experience for both of us, for well, all three of us, my brother as well, my younger brother, and it just um, I had to be the man of the house early because she wasn't there and I had to hold things down. And so there's always two sides to it. Didn't have that stability, but at the same time saw leadership, saw accountability, saw responsibility, and decided to do better for my family. That I wouldn't some of the things she went through and had to go through. I wasn't going to have that for my kids and my wife. So just my priorities. It aligned my priorities at an early age.
Mm. Do you think you lost something in that?
Do I think I lost anything? Um, I mean, if I had to say something, it's that learning on how to be a male. I had to kind of do trial and error, which is really dangerous. Lost anything? Mm, maybe confidence would have been a little higher. I wouldn't change anything though. I would have it exactly the same way it is now because one little alteration or the smallest um, thing I change, and now I fast forward. Now my life is completely different. Um, no, I feel like I got everything I needed to mold me into the man that I am today, that I needed to be.
And so, who are you today?
Oh man, um, who is Omari? A man of the community, and when I say that, I mean that actually lives his testimony. The way I walk, the way I dress, the way I carry myself. I mean, this is from the website, from the apparel, and
Yes.
this is my family. This is myself. We have my wife Sharifa on the camera. We have my oldest Ayana, Bashiri, and Israel. And so this is my content. This is my lifestyle, and there's really no gaps in between because what I put out there is what I am.
So, have you always been that way?
I feel like I have. I just did my best to justify not acting. Like I was bored of man of the house, so the energy's just been a little different. I've had this responsibility since I came. I just did my best to justify it or to be quiet and not say anything, or maybe I say the right thing so people won't get mad, or but for the most part, it's always been there. I just had to be more consistent within myself and to commit. I had commitment issues, and I think I lacked from came from a lack of self esteem and self worth, knowing my worth. I don't think I truly knew my worth at a younger age, and so some of the things I would do, which were, um, sabotaging my success and my health. I did it because I didn't know how valuable and how important I was. Um, so I mean, it happened like it was supposed to in my head. It happened the way it was supposed to, and I'm glad it happened.
Okay, let's go back to that.
Okay.
Um, self-sabotaging.
Yeah.
How are you self-sabotaging?
Um, some of the behaviors I would commit wouldn't be the most healthy. And I mean, if we're here to get specific, let's get specific. Smoking, drinking, having, having sex with people I really shouldn't be, not giving my best in school, hanging out a lot, neglecting my grades, coming home when I know I'm supposed to be in the house, not communicating with my mother, my whereabouts, um, lowering my standards to make other people happy, accepting certain treatment from people because I care about them, and They've been there, so I'm gonna let them get away with things that no one else would be able to do. And so it's just those little minute things that start to add up. And then eventually I just looked myself in the mirror and I said, this is not the answer. You do have worth. Yeah, and you need to raise the standards. And slowly I started just chopping away at those behaviors. Slowly started to chop it. And as I would speak and voice my concerns and my standards, people started falling away. And some of those issues I had started to fade and disintegrate. And then my voice got stronger. I started to see, until I started to get more in tune with who I was spiritually, instead of operating on the tangible, which is my body and my mind. I started to operate from something bigger than me.
So when did the shift happen?
Um, the biggest shift, senior year in high school was a big shift for me because then I grew physically. So I got uh, bigger than what I was, but I wasn't a little guy anymore. So I could kind of, people started to act different toward me, and I noticed that. My confidence grew a little bit. Freshman year at Langston was amazing for me too, because we even talked about this. The one thing I do love about my community, amidst the millions of things, is whoever you are and whatever you are, we will know. It's only a matter of time. You're gonna have conflict. You're gonna have to speak up for yourself. Um, there's gonna be tumultuous situations you're gonna be involved in, and you're gonna have to make a stand. And so I just saw myself just metamorph. My standards metamorph, and I got better. I started to do things differently. Um, so Langston forced a lot out of me because I mean it's do or don't around our people. It's do or don't. Um, at UCO was I think that was the signature for me, um, because Langston yanked a lot out of me, and UCO did its best to push it back in. They wanted to dim my light, where Langston brightened my light and showed me how strong and bright, how bright it was, and how resonating it was. UCO wanted me to dim it and to be a little bit more subservient, um, to keep the parts of me that catered to what they wanted from me, but the rest of that to go ahead and just do away with that. Um, and so I'm thankful for both experiences because then I met that in the middle, and this is the result of where we are today.
Hmm. And so what's UCO?
University of Central Oklahoma. It's a school here in Edmond, Oklahoma.
Okay. Is it a PWI?
I'm not sure what that is.
A predominantly white institution?
Hmm.
Okay. So yeah, I can relate to that just in the sense of when we go to college and we're in school, we are opened up. It definitely makes you open up. But then when you go into any type of like corporate world, they're trying to literally put you in this box now. It's not about you as the person, it's about what you can do, or how you can add to the company. So I just think that that's important for people to see that is a very subtle type of bringing you into this rat race. This very subtle type of conditioning.
Yeah, they said we want everything from you that benefits us, and the moment you get slightly inconvenient, you need to minimize yourself. Yeah, that's a great way to put it. That's a great way to put it.
Man, okay. So when you are a lot of the things that you said about self-sabotaging there, um they're subtle things. They're things that we don't even realize.
Hmm.
It's what I call the conditioning. We don't even realize that part of our environment is, doing these certain things. So you're saying that once you went to college, you started to like chip away at those old habits.
Hmm.
And so were you coping with those behaviors? Were you coping from something?
Oh, my abandonment. My father, I've never met him, but don't know his name and don't know what he looks like. And so certain thoughts I would have would when I see, let's say, a family of 5 or 6 when I would go out, and the part of me would ask, what's wrong with me? What is inadequate within me to where I don't have that? I don't deserve that, and so that self-esteem would start to dwindle away. Um, my abandonment issues, so I didn't have the healthiest relationships emotionally because I wouldn't get attached. I wouldn't allow myself to because it's a matter of time. And those who I did get attached to, um, I would do a lot for. Maybe I was overcompensating, but the relationships I would have, it wouldn't be me and you anymore. It's us. It's we. So whatever you need, you're now a part of me. So if you're suffering, I'm suffering. So it's just those little minute things that we don't realize, and as we get older and be more consistent with those behaviors, now we start to justify. And I think justifications are one of the most dangerous things that we can ever do for behavior because now we make it make sense. Well, I do this because I've always done it, because of what I was taught, and because of this and because of that, instead of really taking responsibility and acknowledging and being specific with the whys. Um, let me do one thing. Give me 30 seconds. Let me go see what's going on in there. Give me 30 seconds.
I think this is so important. First of all, I commend him because the baby's crying. And I love that, fatherhood, seeing that. So that's beautiful. But the other thing is that uh, so many times, um, okay, my next question is about trauma. I want to know where trauma lies, how trauma lies, how does trauma come through?
Yeah, he needed some attention and energy, and so I
Oh,
just give him a little conversation and let's tell him this is what I need from you. And I think that's what makes me part of a great father too, is because some of the thoughts they have, I've had, like, and I know how to talk to them, which is why I think I've done a great job with uh, parenting when I teach the youth shelters I've worked at, the daycares I've worked at, is because a lot of the youth come from similar backgrounds where the male's not there, or they have a unstable and weak male. So it's just um, acknowledging the reality, hurting your own feelings, because ego and pride and justifications, um, and then finding a solution. And it's probably going to be inconvenient. People around you probably won't like it, and it's probably going to get on your nerves from time to time. Yeah, that's to sum it up.
so where does trauma come in? How do you feel about trauma, and where does that come in? Do you feel like in your story?
Well, I think trauma and memories are the same thing. One is positive, one is negative. You go to a park and you have a great time. That's a memory. You go to the park and you see somebody fall and hurt themselves. Now that's trauma. The trauma for me, that not having that dad figure, and that seems like just the common, the norm, and that is not it. That's unacceptable. That's just the norm. Same story as always. No dad, single parent households, and it's like that. Um. Oh, if we're being this specific and accountable, one of the greatest moments in my life is when my uncle left. Um, he was my dad figure because he was the only one I really had around. And he left to do better for him, and I didn't understand it at the time, but now as I got older, I understand it. But that was one of the greatest things that I could ever happen to me, and I would have it happen 1,000 times because then there was no more help for Omari. I was truly by myself. When my mother was there, she had to work, and that's just the reality. But I was truly by myself, and I think that was one of the biggest things that's happened to me, and I'm thankful it happened because now I had to stand on my own 2 feet to care for myself and care for my brother. And so, if I had to point to one instance amidst many, I think that that is the one.
How is you and your brother's relationship?
Me and my brother's relationship is honestly horrible. We're polar. The core is similar, um, but the outcome is polar opposite. I'm just built different. I'm just built different. I embrace my responsibility, my integrity. I'll put it this way: I was born in a man of the house. He's never had to have that role. He's never had to step up and lead. He's always been taken care of. He's had somebody to lean on, and he's never embraced that role. Where, I mean, it was just chosen for me. Yeah.
I have this saying that I'm the guinea pig. I feel like the firstborn are always the guinea pig because in parenting they don't the our caregivers, they don't know what they're doing essentially. So it's like we kind of have to figure it out with them, and
Mm.
then they get the hang of it. And um the kids that come after are, they may be coddled more or given more, just less mistakes at this point. And
Mm.
so I call that like just this guinea pig effect, because depending on that firstborn's mindset, they
Mm.
could really, be like you said, that man of the house or woman of the house or of the generation of the family who changes everything. Or the mindset could be, woe is me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you feel like you ever had that mindset where it was woe is me?
No, it was just no time for it. There was
So
just
you
no
weren't
time.
processing?
The woe is me is like, oh, why does this happen to me? And nah, I think the closest I got to it was when I saw other families together, and I said, "What is wrong with me?" Oh, it wasn't woe is me. It's like, what is wrong with me? I must be inadequate because I don't have this. So somehow it's my fault. If anything, I just made everything my fault because then I give the responsibility to the right person. I don't give the power outside of myself. I Well, they're the reason why I'm here when instead is, you know what? There's something that I did or I didn't do that led me to this conclusion or this outcome. I mean, outside of the higher power, putting as much power in in my hands to where now I don't look outside of myself. Everything, all my problems and all my solutions are internal.
I feel that way also, but it took time to get there.
Hmm.
It wasn't like it wasn't something that was necessarily instilled in me.
Hmm.
Do you think that that was instilled in you?
No, because who would instill it?
I mean, the awareness, having the awareness to know to look into self, or even to tap into spirit. How does spirit come about in your life?
The closest thing I've had to something like that is my grandmother, where she told us all of us have like a gift or power, and mine was to accelerate joy. And if that I'm not doing that, then I'm outside of my purpose. Other than that, I've on my own. On my own, I've always been a writer, writing things down on paper, and I find my answers on that paper within myself. I might talk to some people and process some things, but other than that, I always wanted to do it alone, it alone, because at my lowest and at my highest, I've been by myself. And I like that because then once I get myself together, I don't take it on anybody else. And then I can go outside of myself after that.
So you said earlier that it's you and your higher power.
Yeah.
Have you always called it that?
Well, I call God God. I just have come to the realization and the reality that outside of me and my beliefs, to others, God is a figment of their imagination. Like you know how you have a balloon and let the air out? That air is God outside of me. And I
Hmm.
have to respect that. Like even some of the we talked about this, some of the quotes I would say, I don't tell people they're biblical. I don't tell people where I get it from because in that presentation I'll lose that person. People are caught up in presentations. I'm more into the fruit. You know, if you want to see the tree, you look at the fruit. Um, People are focused on like, oh, I'll tell you one thing. People now have coined the term like Christian conservative. Like, what does that even mean? And, you know, those things contradict each other, and there's no way you could be both of those things at the same time. One thing is to be open and to show love and accountability and respect and to progress. And one thing is for things not to change, to hold on to certain values. So, which one is it? Those things don't operate necessarily at the same on the same level and capacity. But it's a great marketing tool, and it heightens socioeconomic status. So I understand. And so that's where we are now, to where I don't even tell people things where it came from unless they inquire or they ask or ascertain. I just say this is some information I came across, and if you want to know more, then let's talk about it. If not, I'm not going to tell you, because then they'll get so caught up in where it came from and the name of the book, to where they won't, soak on the information and let it resonate with them, and maybe indoctrinate it into their own subconscious.
Yes, we need more people planting seeds. It's very important.
Hmm.
And you told me something the other day.
Yeah.
Um, but what I want to know is how did you start to okay, first if you're listening to this, you have to go to his website. It's Omari with two A's, OmariAA.com. But you have to go to the website and look at the first page. It's gonna make you smile. Like you're
Hmm.
gonna smile. It's I bet you you're gonna smile. But then go to the merch because he's hiding a store. And it's
Hiding it.
beautiful. It's beautiful. No, you like I what? It's amazing. So I want to know, how did you get your vision? How did you start to, I guess, knowing that you're tapped into yourself, you're connected.
Hmm.
Are you just being obedient to any vision that you get?
Hmm.
How are you bringing this thing that you see into fruition? I know a
Um.
lot of it.
Well, first thing I would tell the listeners is that Amari's he's a weirdo, and he's weird, man. He's very peculiar, very strange, very odd. Um, and I'll give you an example. For instance, uh, I wake up, my body automatically wakes up at like 2, 3 in the morning. Then again at like 5:36 every night. I'm not sure what goes on. I just wake up, look at my watch, and sure enough, it's about that time. And I just see visions. I'm gonna be honest with myself for first and foremost, and then honest with those who listen. Is I see visions. I saw about 2 or 3, 4 different scenes that came to me, and I just write them down. I write them down. It's an idea for a movie that I'm gonna come up maybe in 5 to 7 years, and I have visions. And the visions I'll write out extremely specific, and I'll write it down on a piece of paper or I'll draw it out before I lose it, and then I'll come back the next day and put it in a Google document. I will use Google Drive for those who are listening. Google Drive, almost everything you do. So my process is I'll write down what I get or draw what I see and then put it into Google Drive and take pictures and put everything in Google Drive. So when it's time for me to create, I have inspiration. And so a lot of the stuff that you'll see, it comes from something bigger than me, and I'm just communicating it to us. Because some of the stuff you'll see, there's no way, in my opinion, my estimation, there's no way that you can just come up with this stuff on your own. Like it has to be something bigger. And so that's where you'll see 99% of the images, the writing, the poems that coincide with it. It comes from something that's just bigger than myself. I just allow myself to be used, and I just open myself up to it and document it. I don't just shake it off as a bad dream or a good dream. I just notate it, document, and produce it.
I find that just fascinating. Do you feel like there's a because I get a lot of my creativity in the wee hours of the morning as well.
Hmm.
Do you feel like, or is that the only time you get like that level of creativity?
I will say this: it's my favorite time. I love 1 to 3 a.m. It's just something about just the still. It's the world almost, or at least where I am, Oklahoma City. It doesn't move here around that time. I can turn everything off and still hear nothing. It's still, it's quiet. Everything is settled and comfortable, and it's not gonna move for the next 3, 4 hours. And so that's when I like to do things. I mean, it comes randomly. I might be driving and something to trigger something, and I'll just get like a image in my head, and I'll just memorize it and write it down when I get home. Or I hear instrumental, and I'll just some words that come to me, and I'll write it down. Like the poems that I write are really meant to be songs, but I write extremely well, and so it passes off as poetry. Because I want the lyrics that I put in songs, if you take the beat off, I want it to still have some sustenance. No, not I want it to. It does, and it's going to have sustenance to it, to where somebody can read this literary work to a class in a language arts class, versus something that sounds like some nonsense when you take the beat off. And so that's just the biggest thing for me is that everything we create has sustenance, and it resonates with the listener and the viewer.
When you said that, I was just thinking about I can't remember the name of the song, the panda song. Um, it's
Yeah,
like when I seen the video, they took the words off the beat, and somebody was reading it, and it was just like, what is this? What it really says?
absolutely.
And that's so funny, but we don't realize that these are just subtle things. This is where, for example, I think Instagram or TikTok, one of them, they're trying to push 7-second videos.
Hmm.
But what is that going to do but to make a 7-second attention span? Like
That's
these are,
the uh,
oh, go ahead.
um, that's the that's the purpose. That's the purpose because the less time you spend on something, the less you'll be able to dissect it and hold it accountable for its worth. You'll just digest it real quick. Kind of like when you go to fast food, you'll probably be in line at the right fast food place between ordering it and getting it, maybe 2 minutes, and that's the intention.
Everything being instant gratification, but then we're not processing anything. So when something happens like a pandemic, the mental health rates shoot up because people have nothing but time to sit with themselves. Most
That's
people can't
dangerous.
sit with themselves.
That is dangerous. You can't sit with the only thing you really have in this world. You're uncomfortable with that?
How many people realize that that's the only thing that they have?
Mhm. Everybody near the end, but I told myself once that whatever thoughts and then priorities I will have on my deathbed, I need to have right now. Like I've reprogrammed myself in a lot of ways. And it comes with just time. Even the quote, "So as a man thinketh, so shall he be." You think it long enough, you'll be it. Just practice it. Write it down. Put it on the wall. Say it every day. Put it on your phone, a screensaver. Write it on the mirror in the bathroom as you're brushing your teeth. Say it, and you'll reprogram your mind if you allow yourself to and be consistent.
You have to say it. You can't just think it.
Mm.
You have to say it. You have to hear yourself say it. I feel like a lot of times we say, no, I got it in my head, or I'm going to remember. But no, you have to, just like you're saying, when you see those visions, you write them down. Like, you have to say it. You have to get it out. You have to document it for your brain to start to reprogram. I think that's the issue, that we just think we're going to think our way, but it's more than that. It's not just thinking our way. We have to hear it, just like these negative things, or things that conditioned us was told to us and shown to us. We have to tell ourselves something different to kind of combat that, or to combat that.
And here's the dangerous part. Now you're going against a culture. You're going against a machine, a corporate machine. Because and this is my opinion. I think it even ties into the black inferiority complex, where you show enough images and have enough. And I'll even go a little bit more in depth about that because some people might not know what that is. Um, that complex is where you program the African American community to feel less than, and you do that by showing the contrary. You show on TV, in music videos, and artwork. You show magazines and in books and in billboards. You show the very opposite of the black image. So whatever's opposite to them, you'll show. For example, the blonde hair, blue eye, in my opinion, is the opposite of what we are. Even in the dictionary, you look up the word black, it says dirty, evil, stained, opposite to white. And it's like that for a reason. And so it programs you to think, well, they're on TV, they look successful and happy. If I want to be successful and happy, then I have to look like them. And then you'll start to internalize that. You'll start to want to straighten your hair that's naturally curly. You'll start to want to wear synthetic creams to lighten your skin. You'll start to wear, contacts, blue eye contacts, so your eyes appear a shade that's not brown. You'll start to maybe behave and act a different way that's closer to how they behave and act because you want to have what they have because what you have isn't enough. Like, for instance, you watch the news, I guarantee every news tonight is going to have a violent uh, criminal, age 18 to 23. Now, I'm describing this to you, and we all know what image pops in your head. It's probably gonna be a young man with locks or with a fade, that's African American on the TV screen because they've shown that consistent image. We're not the only ones who commit crime, but they show that consistent image to where when you think of that, you hear those words and those phrases, it automatically triggers a certain thought to where that is the face of crime. It has to be. They're always doing something. And so those little minute things, even in movies and TV screens, to where when we are shown, let's say for instance in music videos, when we are shown, we're shown to be in violent and dysfunctional relationships. We're shown to be estranged, and that unity and cohesion is impossible for us. And so those little minute things, you show that enough between generations, and you will have what we have now. People don't love themselves. They go from relationship to relationship because they don't know their worth. And it's on a generational level to where the parents are doing the same thing as the children. And they're 20 years apart. There's no way you should be doing the same things. Not on that level. And so it's just those little minute things, that fundamental things that we might not realize that play a part into it.
Okay, we gotta dig deep into that, because I have a few. Okay, so first, you said it. You articulated that so well. I want to put some examples to it.
Okay.
Um, One of the things you were saying is, well, first I made a post about this, that the way that we are programmed is subtle in our media, so we don't realize it. One of those the very reason thing that you said about the news is why I don't watch the news. People come in here and they're like, the TV don't work. I'm like, nope. Like, because I don't even want, I don't, if it's not HGTV, which is very neutral, I don't want to even have it on my, I don't even want to hear it.
Mm-hmm.
It's, I don't want to hear it. So, I'm trying to explain how, if you're listening to, like, I love me some gangster rap, okay, but I realize I can't listen to that. I can listen to it on the drive in the middle of the day. I can't listen to it in the morning or at night, because it's then I'm gonna start acting a little harder than I really am. It's just I start to internalize that, and I don't need
Mm-hmm.
that type of energy. And so I
Mm-hmm.
realized that. um, and then I had like an exclusive interview a few weeks back where I told how I used to be a catfish. And for 7 years, I wanted to be someone else who was light skinned, who I put her picture with my mind, and everybody wanted to talk to me. And so I didn't know my worth. I
Mm-hmm.
had never known my worth. I had never seen my worth. I had never seen nobody else who knew their worth.
Mm.
So it was like, this, why can't I just wish if I real hard and click my heels, maybe I'll become her. Like, I did not even look in the mirror. How people say they feel shame when they look in the mirror as they're starting to rebuild in that self-care, self-love journey. Like, I was there for many years. um and doing that, I had to, um first I had to break myself all the way down, but then I had to come. It's like levels, because self-care, I mean, self-love, I think, is an action. It's the love I'm showing myself through movement, through learning emotional intelligence, through reading, through, it's a verb. So I hadn't gotten to that level yet. I had gotten to the level of, okay, I can look in myself in the mirror, and I got self acceptance. But that's completely different from self love. And then I moved into self love, but I still didn't know my worth because I allowed somebody to devalue me in a relationship. So
Mm-hmm.
then, getting out of that, so the things that you're saying, it's so subtle, but in my head at the time, I thought that, no, I'm good now. I know myself. I know my worth. Like, I didn't even know that that was a thing, that was something that you, like, I didn't,
Yeah.
I just felt like, yeah, I got it. I got self-worth. Like you pick it up at Target or something. Like, I had no idea how to even cultivate it. Um, so my question is, what would you tell somebody? I got into this space now, but what would you tell somebody if I was at the beginning of my journey, um, and I didn't even realize that I didn't have self-worth?
Well, I would give them three exercises to do, at least once a day, at the very least. The first one, what I would have them do is get a piece of paper, and write down their end goal. If you can get paid to do anything, what would it be? Other than sports and video games, those are too easy. If you can get paid to do anything, what would it be? Anything. What do you love to do? And let's find a way to monetize it. Then we would work backwards. Do we need to go to trade school? Do we need to go to a community college to get the basics out the way? Do we need to get a 9 to 5 to support the entrepreneurship? Do we need, like, what is the goal? What's the end goal? That way we have purpose. Because um, without purpose, I mean, even if you have a target, you'll miss because you have no target. So we have to have something. Then once we have our purpose, once we have our grand scheme, we'll put that on a wall, and every day we'll write the plan down over and over. Even if you've memorized it, that's great. Write it down again, because as you start writing and doing more research, you're gonna start filling little things in. Oh, I need to talk to this person during this time of the day. I need to watch this YouTube video, and I have to make a playlist for it, and do that over every day. Write your plan down over and over and over. Put it in a Google Drive and still write it down. So that's our one practice: is our purpose, our plan, mapping out the A to Z and Z to A and writing it down over and over to where eventually you'll start to dream about it because that's all you worry about. The second thing I would do is to go look in the mirror. Go, it could be a camera, a mirror. I prefer a mirror. Go turn the light on, close the door behind you, lock it if you need to, because my kids know how to open doors. So I have to lock it and stare at yourself. Now, this is, I think, the hardest one because there's no help. There's no distractions. There's no TV. There's no social media. There's no significant other to make you feel a certain way. It's just you and you. And at first, you're gonna see some really dark things, some things that you despise, some things you've been hiding, some things that you've been neglecting, and you're gonna see it. And it's gonna be a little intense the first few times because how often do you really do that? You look at yourself while you brush your teeth and then turn off the light and leave. So really look at yourself in the mirror. If you have glasses, take your glasses off so the reflection doesn't distort any image you see. Stare at yourself. If you need to have a little dialogue, have a little dialogue. Now, I'm not saying argue with yourself like Smeagol off Lord of the Rings. That's a different level. But I'm saying let's talk. You know, Omari, you're amazing, and we talk to each other. Every at least start with 30 seconds if you can do that, and then work our way up to 1 to 2 minutes to 5 minutes. Me, when I can, I do about 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes where I just stare at myself. Um, the third thing I would do is to, whenever you get upset or happy, the same thing, find you a level zero. You might have a plus 20 where you're feeling amazing today. Okay, let's get a piece of paper out and write, I feel blank because, and write down why. Or you might be feeling terrible. I feel negative 80. I feel this way because of one, two, three, four, five. And then we have to figure out, okay, why did it make us happy? Why did it make us upset? What are the variables that added to that influence that end goal? You're upset because somebody stole some money from you or somebody said something. Okay. Did they take from me financially? Did they harm did they harm me or my family? Did they take financially from my family or I or physically harm me, my family or I? If they didn't do that, then they're not talking about nothing. That's just emotion, pride, and ego. Let that go. And it's just to get grand scheme with our issues. Oh, I met this guy. He makes me happy. I'm on plus 50 when I'm with him. Well, then how do you feel without him? Because if you feel plus 50 with him, that means you're either at zero or negative 50 without him. And that's dangerous. So I want you to be able to get plus 50 by yourself. And then when you're with him, then it's even that much better. Or her, whichever one. So those are the three things. Just to recap, we would have the end goal on a piece of paper, we write down every day, put it in a Google Drive so we don't lose it. We'll have the mirror exercise where we do 30 seconds to 5 minutes a day, whichever one you can stand, and go higher and better. And then three, whenever we feel extremely good or extremely bad, we will write that down on a piece of paper and process that and find out whys. Because it's something about that piece of paper that's just unbiased. You talk to somebody, your friends, they gonna make you feel either good or bad. Be unbiased. So find a way to be unbiased, and I feel like that paper is the best way. Because the paper is the paper. The paper won't coddle your feelings. It won't hurt your feelings. The paper's just gonna be the paper. And those would be my three tips.
I love it. Self accountability.
Yeah,
What do you feel about how important is that?
that's all you have. Um, if you hold yourself accountable, the world won't be able to stop you. If you don't do it, then you're gonna trip yourself up, and when you get held accountable, you can be flabbergasted. And this is my opinion. So the first thing I always do before I mention or bring up anybody else or anything, Omari, what did you do wrong? How can you do better? And then from there, I work inward out instead of outside in. Which is, remember, I stated that in the beginning. Everything is my fault. Everything. And then from there, I process out. So it's my fault because of one, two, three, four, five. Okay. Now what's out of your control? Okay. Five, six, seven, eight, nine, 10. Okay. Well, what's in their control? 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And then after I get to 15, on that piece of paper, I start back at zero. Omari, just make sure we have the right intention, the right energy, and that we can affect the outcome. If I can't affect the outcome, I'm balling a piece of paper up and I'm throwing it in the recycling bin because now I'm wasting time and energy, and I'm too valuable for that. Just making sure we're productive, we're constructive, um, and we have an end goal. What's the purpose? What's the end goal? If you can't answer that question, you're wasting time and energy.
Do you feel like energy lasts forever or
No,
energy never dies?
no. You can recharge with sleep. Eventually, though, your battery, even the sun dies. Even the sun's gonna have to die, and so we all have a matter of time. What's your time worth? How valuable are you? And then when you start to realize that, and you'll start to give energy toward other things. Yeah, I could listen to my friend gossip about this, and eventually, when you truly know your worth, you'll stop her or him, and you'll say, "Look, man, do you have any ideas on how to monetize my skills or yours? Do you have any ideas on how to create a new scientific phenomena or social contribution, a nonprofit, a LLC, a S corp? I mean, what ideas do you have? Do you have some drawings we can make into graphic design that we can put on T-shirts and sell, or do you have gossip about somebody else, somebody else's problems that is really not yours to tell because you have nothing of fruit, nothing of sustenance to talk about?"
Have you seen the movie Friday?
Hmm.
And I feel like that scenario is often where we sit and we talk about a lot of things that we should do,
Mm.
but we don't see it as an idea. It is a good idea, and we
Hmm.
both agree that it's a good idea, but then nobody
Hmm.
moves. Why do you think that is?
Initiative, and you look up the word initiative, or even synonyms, words that are similar. It's courage, leadership, responsibility, accountability. It's taking that step of faith and seeing something that is unseen. And I just think we lack confidence, and we think that everything is a lot more strategic and difficult than it really is, and it's not. Write down what you want to do, and that's why we write it down on a piece of paper. Because when you put it on paper, you say, "Wait a minute, this was easier than I thought." After all, it's not that confusing. Turn the movie off, turn the social media off, go on Google, go on YouTube, and research what you want to do. Get personal testimony and expert opinions, and just do it. And that takes a lot of courage. So, congratulations for those who are doing it. For those who aren't doing it, stop holding yourself back because you deserve better. And one day you'll decide it. It's just got to be your decision because no one else is going to help you. You by yourself.
What do you think? So when I hear you say that, automatically it kind of goes back to self-worth.
Hmm.
If I don't believe in myself or if I don't know my self-worth, I don't think that I can do it.
Yeah.
I feel like I even fell in that. I've always done entrepreneurial things, but I would do them for free.
Hmm.
And I just felt like, I just want to help everybody, but I didn't know my worth. I didn't know how valuable I was. I wanted to start a business. I wanted to start several businesses, but I felt like I had to have, people, somebody else had to be there. I needed a partner. Somebody else had to help me do it because I didn't feel worthy. I'm just, 22, or I'm just 23, or just whatever. I'm just me. I'm just this little black girl from the hood. So I can't do it by myself. I need somebody more qualified. What qualifies you?
You. I'm going to say that again. Somebody might have missed that. What qualifies you? You qualify you. There are certain jobs that you need some paperwork for, like a therapist or a lawyer or a doctor. Um, Even those you can work around if you've done your research and know what you're doing and you're diligent with your studies. It's just those things have legal protections that you might not have without it. But the only thing in the end that qualifies you is you. You qualify your prices, you qualify your time, you qualify your worth. It's you, no one else, just you.
How do you reprogram your brain to think that?
Effort
Uh,
and consistency. That piece of paper is a great thing because it's blank. It doesn't care about you. It doesn't hate you. It doesn't care about you. It's not worried about your feelings. You don't pay it to say certain things. It doesn't pay you, so it can say certain things. That piece of paper is blank, and it's up to you to write things on it. Write those messages. That's why we make our. This is why our plan. We make it I've made my plan millions of times, and this is going back to when I went to Langston, which is why I transferred to UCO. I wanted to do criminal justice, forensic science. Langston didn't have what I needed. I love my HBCU, but in order to do better for it, I have to leave, get more skilled, and come back. And that's what I decided to do because I wrote my plan down every day, all the time. My end goal, then work backwards to where I am now, to where now all I'm doing is checking off boxes, adding a few minute details, documenting it on Google Drive, and pushing forward. So when people say, hey, you shouldn't do this, or you shouldn't do that, I'm not even worried about what you're talking about because I've already mapped this out. This is like my fifth year consistently writing it out every day. And I met you 2 weeks ago. So why would I even worry about anything you're talking about? But I'm your advisor. What does that mean to me? I've already printed out my sheets for classes. I know what classes I need to take, and I've already done the math on it. You just hear I only meet with you because it's a requirement for my degree, and because you have a they used to have these little it's like a staple, rubber band, sticky notes, a little pack, a little to go office set, and a USB and stuff. That's the only reason I used to meet with them. Other than that, I used to tell them what I'm gonna do. They would give recommendations. I would tell them no thank you. I'm sticking to the plan. And it would be a very abrupt meeting. Very fast because I know why I'm here. I've already mapped it out. So I didn't fall to the wayside or get deterred or distracted because of somebody else's social economic status and their opinion. I'm not worried about that because I have myself. And that's really all I need. And that's all I have anyway. It's the greatest thing for me and the worst thing for me is myself, depending on how I train myself and how I use myself.
what else do you do every day?
Oh, my mirror exercises every day. Um, I sit in isolation. Isolation is my greatest strength and my greatest weakness. The difference is moderation. I have my office where I am now. I just sitting here and with a blank piece of paper and a pen, and I write down things that come to me. Some things are nonsense, um, and some things need to be documented in a Google Drive. And so I just read back over it another day to be able to differentiate. Um, Spend time with my kids. I hug them, I kiss them. My wife, the same things I do every day. Um, I go and pick out my clothes in advance, get myself together because I feel like when you take time to choose your outfit, your clothes, what you're gonna wear, you wear it differently. Instead of something you just threw together last minute. You took time to do this. You know you put effort in, and you know even if it don't match, it don't matter because you took time to come up with it, and so you just wear it differently. I took time to make this, so yeah, you might not think it looks nice. That's great. You think it does look nice? That's great too. People didn't catch that. Someone say it again slower. You took time to make your outfit. The outfit is something that's obvious. We'll use that as an example. You took time to put your outfit and clothes together. So even if people think it does match and you look great, that's amazing. If they think it doesn't match, you look terrible, that's amazing too. Because it doesn't matter. Because it's what you think about it.
A lot of people are chasing fame. So when you're talking about something that's built on other people's opinion,
Hmm.
they're not thinking in that way.
Yeah.
That it's about what I like. For some, yeah, I put out my art, I made it for me, and if you like it, that's cool too.
Yeah.
But some people are making art to become liked or to get that fame. And so for that, how what kind of shift in mindset do you think is needed?
I think they're chasing their tail, and this is my opinion. I think that they're chasing your tail. If you do anything to be liked by other people, then you're chasing your tail, because what happens when they don't like it? Like, you put all this energy and effort for them to like it, and when they don't, how do you cope with that in a healthy way? Let's put that in context. How do you cope? What's your healthy coping skill for that? The biggest thing is that you like it. That way, no matter what happens, you're happy with the work because you're happy with the work. I feel like that's why a lot of us wear brands and special belts that we can't afford, and buy into this lifestyle which is dysfunctional and detrimental to not only us but the generations that come after us, because now they're forced into this context of deceit and betrayal, and they have no choice but to. That's the context of their existence. Um, I just think that it's a sheep mindset that's taught, and a lot of it is used. And this is gonna hurt some people's feelings. A lot of people, their favorite rapper or athlete, they get paid to wear a lot of the stuff they do, and a lot of the stuff they wear, they get paid by brands to wear that stuff. So you'll want to wear it, and so you'll go out and spend money you don't have to have it to impress people you really don't care about to begin. Like, there's no way you should drive a Mercedes and be in an apartment. That's not the upkeep on that thing is going to be incredible. The resale value is terrible because it depreciates every second you own it, even if you're not driving it. And then you drive it to bring it back to what? What asset? A home? Oh, you're in an apartment, but you're buying $300, $400 shoes. Those are shoes. They're really worth $20, if that. We put that social status on it into where now they can demand that from the market because we spend for things we don't have. New pair of Jordans, $1,000. PS5, 600, $500. But you don't have your own business. You don't have an LLC. And even if you do, why waste it on that? Why don't you develop some intellectual property that you can bequeath to your next of kin? So it's just priorities, man. It's just priorities, and um, I guess people want to spend money, buy things to be cool. Being cool cost has a certain price tag attached to it, and people are willing to pay it. Supply and demand, so they rise the prices, and I mean that's what it is, unfortunately.
Come closer to the mic.
How about now?
Yeah, you good.
Okay.
One of the things you said, buying to be cool. So I read this book. I don't know where, but the information it sparked a file to open,
Mm-hmm.
where um, because as because of being in slavery and wanting to sell the slaves, they would dress up the slaves and show them off, best dressed, and they would get sold.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of, if I look the best, I'm treated better, or I'm so, the best person wants to take me away or whatever,
Yeah.
i will I will keep this up. And so it's almost like throughout time, that's where at first it was dignity. If I look good, then they respect me. And
Mm-hmm.
then it moved to, um if I look good, if I have money, they'll want to respect me, they'll want to have sex with me, they'll want to do all these things initially. But if I don't have these things, I'm still treated like, that slave that's not attractive, that slave that has the rags on.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking that one I think that one, it kind of morphed into not knowing worth. It lost dignity, and it went to where we are today with not quite understanding our worth, our power, and trying to buy into this world of I trying to buy acceptance from the world.
There we go. The culture.
Yeah, but it's to me, my opinion is that the more I step back and look at the culture that we call culture, our culture, black culture, the more I realize that this most of it is built on ignorance. I can't. It's a lot of the things that we do today. I can't talk about what happened before the '60s, maybe the '70s or so. But once the crack epidemic hit, it turned into something different. And the things that we do today, I mean, some of them came from before, but it was just ignorance of like not knowing. But now it's like we have all the information in the world to know, but we're still holding on to things that were formed in ignorance.
Hmm.
So, how do you see to fix that? Or
Because then, if you hold on to those things, you don't have to change. And remember, we
mm,
talked about justifications, and that is a gateway drug to um, more dysfunctional behavior. Um, the biggest thing, like for instance, I come from a fatherless household. Didn't know my father, don't know his name, don't know his face. I decided to take that and to do better. To where I told myself, and I wrote this down on my paper years ago before this happened, that I would marry my wife first, have children second, in that order. And I even told her when we first started dating, this is my intention. And I even asked her to marry me as simple as we're talking now. I'm not going to get on my knee and disrupt everybody's evening for the sake of my what accomplishment. I don't want that or need it. It's just a simple conversation between us two. It just has people have to see things for what it is and decide to do better. I mean, that's just what it comes down to. The culture that most of us buy into is designed by the same people who support private prisons and by the same people who control the news script. Like your favorite rapper is getting paid things. And so I think what has to happen, I think in order for a major shift, this is a few of the things that has to happen. First thing, we have to run all the drug dealers and gangbangers off the corner. They they must get ran off the streets because one thing they don't realize is those organizations were made to protect the community. That was what the foundation of it. And now they're, ironically enough, parasites to the community. They can give out as many turkeys and backpacks as they want to, but you're a parasite to your community if you're not helping it progress. You're either regressing or progressing. There's no middle ground. And I think 99% of them are making the community regressing. You're sabotaging your youth so you can succeed economically. You're a parasite. The second thing is the gangster rap, the hip hop. We have to hold it to a certain standard. If you're not uplifting the community or helping us progress, then you do not get our support anymore. We spend about $1.2 trillion a year as a community, just us. We need to funnel that. We talked about this, funneling that toward things that are helping us progress. Um, if it's not uplifting us in something you can play in a church and in the streets and in a club, then you don't get any of our money. I'm not saying stop making music. You streaming mechanical royalties from us, you get nothing. We're not going to come to your shows, buy your merchandise. You're cut off. The TV shows that like Power and all those, you're cut off too, because how are you? You're showing dysfunctional families. We've seen enough of that story. What else do you have to offer? You're cut off. So my thing is, I think the greatest thing we've ever done as a community was the bus boycotts. That was the greatest form of organized protest. You can call it plan, strategy. That is the greatest thing we have ever done, in my opinion. Because you affect somebody's pockets, they'll change. And what we displayed and exhibited by doing that is we have more power than we realize. And when we use that economic power, people will change. So I think that's the biggest things that has to happen. The athletes too. We're not buying your shoe. You can go play for the NBA. That's fine. You get no shoe sales and jersey sales from us unless what you're doing um, helps our community. And let's take it a step further. That's going to hurt some feelings. Um, Relationships. People don't realize when you marry somebody, you're investing in their community financially. It's a financial contract. So I married my wife who is from my community. So when I die, because statistically showing I'm gonna die before she does, the money is left with her and it stays in my community. I mean, I'll use somebody everybody knows. Kobe. Well, first, rest in peace, everybody. I'll use Kobe as an example. Kobe married outside of his race. That money's not coming back to the black community. It's gone forever. He invested in her community, and she decides what happens with that money. It's gone. And so I think we need to, if you're not married to our community, if you're not committed to our community, you get cut off too. You can make your content, that's great. You get no money from us. We need to support people that are invested economically in our community, and it's just time to hold each other more accountable. Um, and to be consistent and unwavering with that. And it's okay to hurt feelings. But my friend is married to somebody outside of his race and she's a quality person, or I'm in love with her or him. I don't see color. Well, that's the first thing you saw when you saw them. And yeah, you can find her attractive. She can be a quality person, have a great spirit. That's great. That don't mean you have to marry them. And that don't mean you have to invest in their community because they don't need the help. We do. Our women aren't married and we're easily divorced, slandered at every turn, taken advantage of, kidnapped, and no one bats a finger or winks an eye. Nothing happens. So it's just time for us to cherish and prioritize ourselves before justifying straying away from the community. That's just my spiel.
I, oh, okay. Because I agree, but I think it's about belief. I
Hmm.
think that the biggest thing is that just in general, life is about belief and, the beliefs of how we even got here, the beliefs of the people that came here and, the history and stole the land and
Hmm.
stole the people and built the machine of America, like the beliefs of them, the beliefs that culture created, the beliefs that still exist,
Hmm.
the beliefs that are emerging now. It's all about beliefs. So I feel like the bigger picture, we need to, something like that. We have to keep it in the black community. We have to build black, but we have to build black owned that is international. We can't just um I feel like if we're here, we should be playing the game to America in a sense of economical growth and
Hmm.
like all of the things that are available. We should use that unity and that power that comes with unity to create big black businesses so that it's not just it's not just dependent on the life insurance that a lot of us don't have, but
Hmm.
it's dependent on um, the legacies that we build, whether we have worked for a black owned company and as an employee of it, we have stock in it,
Hmm.
or whether we're the boss and now we have this legacy and we've built these trusts and it's not just dependent on something else, but dependent on, like you said, that the intellectual properties that we've created for ourselves, but
Hmm.
everybody can now pay us, not just us.
Yeah. Uh, what really needs to happen? Um, I think realistically speaking, I think my children and their children will be the one to take the next level, the next step. I think it's too late for a lot of us. A lot of people are already set in their ways and don't want to change, and I mean that's their decision. We just gotta keep leading by example. That's the biggest thing that I could do is keep leading by example. We keep having conversations like these, and when one, two, 50, 100, 1,000, 2,000, 100,000 of us make it, then that money we get, I'll put it this way: there's no way that I have 20, 30, 40 million and you not see the result, there's no way, because I see the things I'm doing with a very, very, very limited budget. And it's small, minute things, but it has a resonating effect long term. Now you put the resources behind it to where you can make and force things to happen. I think that's the part that disappoints me the most is we have some of us in incredible positions, amazing positions. And where's the fruit? They say by the fruit shall you know the tree. Where's the fruit? So I just gotta be patient till I get it, and then I'll lead and show and exhibit and display.
Yes. Oh my goodness. That okay. So you got to tell me about truth.
Hmm.
We got to know, how did
Well,
this come about?
oh, you talking about the first one? Oh
Yes.
man, I had a vision. I had a vision.
So tell them what truth is, because
Oh, okay, okay. Truth is oh, it's some graphic art. It's some graphic art that I came up with to represent a little bit of the culture that we call, and also the black inferiority complex. I could make that extremely hard to comprehend, but I decided to make it extremely easy to digest and easy to understand. So the T is a gold watch that represents vanity and low self-esteem, and how we buy acceptance from ourselves and from others, and how we attach our worth to these objects which we can't afford. Now I have a Rolex. Now I have higher status. I'm cooler. I'm more likely to gain the appeal and um, the luxury of having people want me and seek me. And also now I'm stunting on people. Now they mad at me. So now you're doing it for other people's attention and acceptance. The blunt is on top of the T, on top of the watch, and that's self-medication from the trauma that we have, and how our community doesn't really have emphasis on mental and emotional health. Instead, we put band-aids on snake bites and tell you get over it, and without realizing that it gets passed down on a generational standpoint. The R, originally I had a Mercedes Benz logo in the middle of it to represent, social economic status, success. That's the vision of success in our community. Get the Benz, but I took that out because of copyright issues. I didn't want any problems. The U is a corner. You'll see some people post it. It's a stop sign, and I mean, we know what that is. They post it up, and you know what they waiting on. That's our vision of, or one of our means of success in our community. It must be sports, crime, or entertainment, or that. And so that's the vision of success for a lot of us, or how we fund our ideas or projects, or how we fund the tangible objects. Well, in the T, like the gold watch, this is how a lot of us fund that gold watch. The T next to it is a basketball goal, and the rim is pretty much broken down and busted. There's no backboard, it's rusted, and there's no net. And that's what success looks like to a lot of us, because that's the conditions a lot of us stay in. We go to a park that's run down, property value is low, so you get no grants. It's not getting rebuilt, it's not getting reconstructed. That's just where it's going to be for a while. And so we look at that, we see success, we see a way out, we see hope, we see, how a means to an end. The same as selling on that corner, it's a means to an end. The H next to it is, I think, one that stands out for me the most because it's entertainment. We have, you look at any music video, you'll see this women, it's a silhouette of women half naked dancing, and a man in the middle wearing gold chains and jewelry, which ties back into the original T from the gold watch. And it's our role models, honestly. You look at our role models for our community, and it's for the women, it's that. Um, Look at the most famous ones we have. We don't got to mention names. You know who they are, and they're doing exactly what they're doing in the artwork. And the guys in the middle, the chains, the jewelry, the gold, the status, the I'm stunting on you. I got her mad at me, and really what they're saying is it's a cry for help, and I don't love myself. Under it is the next generation. They're watching their role models. They're idolizing. They're learning. It's being indoctrinated on a generational level, and they're learning what it's going to take for me to succeed. I can sell these. I can sell drugs. I can hoop or play football, or I can get an entertainment. And for me to make it an entertainment, excuse me, I'm probably gonna have to do what they're doing and act how they act and look how they look. The S is the represents the criminal justice system as police lights on the top because that's the first encounter with the system we have. And the criminal justice system is a machine. It's designed and built to take advantage of our community, and it's a lucrative business. From probation office to pharmaceutical companies to private prisons to policemen to the military, everything is funded with criminal justice. I'll put it this way to make it simply. You go to legal aid services, which is free services, they have everything that you'll want. Those services will be marital, it'll be contracts, it'll be civil, it'll be torts, which is minor conflicts. They help with everything except for criminal law. They don't touch criminal law because that's the moneymaker. A lot of people don't realize, but a public defender, their job is to lose to the attorney. Um, they're a public defender unless they're great and amazing and chosen by God to do better. Their job is to lose. So the prosecution can get high prosecution rates, keep their rates high, make district attorney, and then from district attorney you do mayor, governor, House of Representatives, the Senate. That's the level up. And so they built their career prosecuting our children. Under it is a bus that I designed to look like a school bus, but it's a correctional Department of Corrections bus to signify the school to prison pipeline, and how a lot of our children make their first interaction with the criminal justice system in the schools because they hired third party officers to patrol and to keep security, not realizing that they now have access to our kids by being in that school. Um, and the grand scheme is the man in the back, and that's the foundation of all these issues is because they took the males out of our household, and now they've created latchkey children. It's a criminal justice term for children that own the latch and key to their freedom and their whereabouts and their safety. They can move as freely as they want to and do what they please because they own their own freedom. The man in the back, he's a barcode. He's a commodity like a can of soup or a bag of chips. He's to be sold for slave labor because the 13th Amendment states that if you are a slavery is illegal except for if you're a prisoner, to put it pretty much simply, involuntary servitude. So if you're a prisoner, you're a slave, and they make money. The state makes money off you. So starting with the end, working back to the beginning, we have the fathers that are enslaved in the criminal justice system, where they made their first interactions in the schools because of the school to prison pipeline. The criminal justice system, how it feeds on us, entertainment, how it programs us and our role models and who we look up to, and how it causes dysfunction on a generational level. We have the sports and the sales of drugs as our means to an end, our vision of success, and the only methods we feel like or is shown to us consistently on how to attain wealth and status. We have the R, which is the signifying social economic status and what it looks like, and we have the blunt, which is mental and emotional health and trauma and how we cope and our health, our coping skills, and then we have the vanity, which is a lack of self esteem and self worth.
It's beautiful. First of all, you guys got to go see it on his website. It's amazing. But the fact that you incorporate all of these issues that we are having,
Yeah.
and when you run it back, it's like a story. It's kind of like Kendrick's album. It's like it's a story frontwards and backwards, and I really like that because I feel like everybody can kind of see themselves in a part of it because it literally is the levels. If you don't love yourself, then you do these things. First, you try to
Hmm.
drown out the noise of not loving yourself. That doesn't work. Then you turn to self-medicating. That doesn't work. You're onto your getting stuff. You're buying stuff to make yourself feel better. If I buy all these things,
Yeah.
then I can feel better, right? Or if I sexualize my body first, then if he sexualized me, I'm already good. I took back my power, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
devaluing myself.
Yeah.
So it's just amazing. It speaks to so many things. We have to do a part two or something, because just digging deep into the issues that are so normal. They're so
Oh.
normal. We don't even see it as issue. We don't even recognize that that is trauma.
Hmm.
That you are sexualizing yourself. I seen a post and they were talking about um something about the whole phase or something like that, where it's like, when what is the definition of a prostitute? But we have women that say, "Oh, I'm empowered, I'm or I can sell my body. Everything else is for sale, so I might as well make money if I'm going to do something sexual." And for me, I can't necessarily wrap my mind around it, because for me, sex is a spiritual act.
Hmm.
And so I don't want to just give it, like, it's pleasure, obviously, but it's not just pleasure. It's also a spiritual act. And I'm not just going to give my body to anybody, and they're definitely not going to be able to buy their way in, because material things don't make me feel valuable.
Hmm.
But we live in a world where people's love language is gifts, because that's the only thing that they received. They never received quality time or acts of
Mm-hmm.
service. They're independent. All they want is gifts.
Mm-hmm.
And not seeing the correlation that maybe, because, like you say, if I'm raising myself or raising my siblings, then I wasn't giving quality time. So that's not even typical. So I literally have to manually go in and say, "Hey, I like this person. I want to give them my time," and not just send them a bag or a watch.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so I have three questions for you, because this was just such a good talk.
Okay.
Um, so I have three questions for you. I first I want to know. Okay, I have a few more questions. I want to know what's next for you,
Okay.
and then I want to
Oh.
know what is death to you.
Oh. Oh yeah. What's next? What's next is a letter to my children. It is a film, a philosophical poetry book, and it's also a soundtrack. So essentially, what I did was I wrote poetry that I'm making into a film, that I'm making into a soundtrack. Excuse me, and then music from the soundtrack I put into the film, and all of it correlates, and it's interwoven, all of it. And the goal is that we just show relationships. We show the positives and the negatives of relationships and behind the scenes. I don't feel like a lot of we really see behind the scenes of relationships. We see the end goal, we see where it went wrong, or we see the highlights and lowlights, but behind the scenes, what does that look like? And what type of conversations are these people having with themselves? What are they thinking when they're doing the things they're doing? And so we take a pretty in-depth look, and I think people enjoy it. The soundtrack correlates to it. It's rated PG because I want everybody to be able to see it. Um, and it's just, in my opinion, it's the fundamental purpose of it was to sit down with my kids and watch it, and then have conversation. That's why I named it that, because ultimately, it's for my children when they get a certain age. But at the same time, I feel like everybody needs to see it, just to see the examples and to see, okay, what am I doing? And because I see where it's heading, that person, am I doing the same things? And what do I expect to happen because of the end goal, or because of the short term or long term? I mean, yes, that's a simple way to put it. I feel like.
A self-aware film. I love that.
Hmm.
Okay. Now, you have an amazing quote. And
Okay.
so, um I just I need to know first, what does death mean to you?
Okay. The quote is, "Every step I take toward my death is another step toward my success." And so I step. Death is inevitable. Death is the next level. You know how you play a video game or a book and you hit that next chapter. It's just the next chapter. Um, And so then it's time to be called before, and this is my interpretation. Death to me is being called before God and answering the positives and negatives of your decisions. So I live right now like I'm on my deathbed. I'm very careful with the things I say, do, and think because I'm getting held accountable for all of it. I'm not saying I'm perfect. I make mistakes and I waver. It's just I'm very intentional and I'm very careful of the people I surround myself around, the things I involve myself in, and even the work that I create because it's influencing somebody, whether positive or negative. So death to me is just the next level in accountability in the next stage in the evolution of my spirit. This body is a loner. I got to get this back to the earth eventually. But the spirit, that's mine forever, and I got to stand on that.
I love that. I love that so much. When I read the quote initially, it kind of took me back, and I'm just like, the fact that you embrace death, but you're
Hmm.
excited to what I call get up the stairs. Like
Hmm.
I want to hit the levels too. I don't want to stand still. I hate the stillness. I'm always want to be learning, and so I just see it as you're climbing those steps. And for someone to say it so eloquently, I just think that's beautiful. So I just commend you.
Thank you.
Okay, so for my questions,
All
my
right.
3 questions I ask everyone.
Okay.
Um, I want to know, what is healing? What does healing mean to you?
Healing is accountability. It's to look in the mirror and say, these are my problems. Um, this is who's at fault for them, and it's always going to be you because that's the only thing you can control. And it's better to take that responsibility than to try to give it to other people because then you can never resolve what's going on because you have to seek something outside of you. And I feel like that's extremely dangerous is to go outside of yourself. Um, Healing is to look in the mirror and say, I am the problem and the solution to all of my issues and to write them down. And it's going to hurt. It's okay to cry. Um, it's just to acknowledge it because we're putting band-aids on snake bites and all that's doing is making us look or feel decent, but on an anatomic level, on a cellular level, we're eroding and we're regressing because remember there's no in between, either it's progress or regress, and you're regressing.
Amazing. Okay. um, what does healing finances mean to you?
No sporadic spending. Oh, but I want no. You know what? I don't feel like cooking so much. No. Well, I got a little bit extra money this month. I guess I could. No. But it's only no. I have a coupon and it's on a no. It's on sale, man. Come on. No. That's what it looks like. If it's not groceries that you made a list and it's not on the list, come back. It's not that important if it's not on your list. But I'm right here. No. If it's not for transportation, the car, like an oil change or something, then the answer is no. Um, well, I got a bonus this month. I guess I could buy some new. No. Um, if it's not a necessity, the answer is no. If you really want to go splurge and go do something, go to a thrift store because 99% of my closet is thrift store clothes and no one ever knows. And I get compliments. I really don't want them, but if I'm speaking with the audience, people compliment me all the time on how I carry myself because it's not what you buy, it's how you wear them. You can buy expensive brands and still look sloppy and terrible and just be not together. Or you can go buy a $3 shirt, $4 pants, and I get my shoes from Walmart other than my dress shoes and throw it together and walk a certain way and all of a sudden you have the most expensive stuff on perception wise. So it's just having priorities set in place, knowing why we're here. Because actually, one of my cast members asked me, Omari, what made you wanna do this? And I told them the same amount of money, about $600 it cost me. The same amount of money I could use to buy a new TV, to go on a cruise, to go buy some new shoes, to go
Jamar?
buy the new system. I could make some intellectual property that your kids are gonna have a piece of the copyright. The royalties that we'll get from the sales, the profits. We passed that down because we made it contractual. We're gonna copyright it so we can pass that down in our will. So that's gonna accrue finances and revenue. And now we're doing something long term versus a pair of shoes that can get stolen or run over or muddy, a TV that my kids might break accidentally. And if I don't buy the $25 extra warranty, I'm gonna have to come out of pocket on a cruise that'll last 3 or 4 days, some decent pictures that I can show on social media. Congratulations. And then what?
Okay, so I have a part two to that.
Okay, what you got?
What should we do to with our money?
Um, Social services, scientific contribution, intellectual property, or investing toward economic independence. And so I'll go through each layer. Economic independence is going to a local
Wait,
black
you
growth.
sound you
What?
sound far.
How about now?
Say something.
Say something.
Okay, I mean, it sounds a little. I don't
Off.
know. It went down a little bit, but okay, go ahead. I can still hear you.
You can still hear me. Um, I would say the economic independence is going to a black grocer or going to somebody that is looks like you for the same services you would go outside of. And I'm working on that myself because I like going to Crest, sometimes Walmart, Sam's Club. So the next step for me to do is to find somewhere that's black owned, and even it's going to cost more. That's the reality. They have to charge more because they can't keep up. They can't buy in bulk the same way they do. So their prices are going to be more expensive. But in the end, you're investing in yourself rather than saving $20 that you're probably going to waste somewhere anyway. Um, Intellectual property, write a book, write some poems, make some music, write a film. You can take I shot my film with iPhones, with cell phones. I could have spent more money and went the other route, but I wanted to have conversations like these where we talk about how easy it is. Go outside and do it. Get you a decent team that's on the same page, write up a simple contract to where you have some type of piece of paper that stipulates the agreement outside of memory and hearsay because that's useless and a little subjective. Um, uh, and just being selfish with your time. Don't spend it on frivolous things that mean nothing. You can go out on Friday, have a decent time. That's cool. Then what? You spent $70, $120 on drinks. Then what? That same money you could use to copyright a book, and now you own it, and you can sell it and make the publishing off it every time it's mentioned. You can go on podcasts for free to talk about that same book that you developed by not going out on the weekend. So we're just having the priorities and seeing the end goal. What's your end goal?
Oh, I think that's so good. Okay. I hope people grab those nuggets because it's a lot of that is so important. Um, j- just simple as the prices being higher.
Hmm.
Like once you know your worth, yes, I'm gonna charge a little bit more. But also I had to I had to get it out the mud. Whereas, Walmart got it out the life insurance policies, you
Hmm.
know. So just the extra work that you already know your peers had to put into starting their business and building their business, getting the information for business. Like that's not
Yeah.
something typical. You should
Yeah.
want to support that because that took effort.
And it's daunting too. If you talking about shout out to all my entrepreneurs too. Shout out to all my podcasters or anybody that's just developing and making something. This stuff is a lot of work and organization and time and skills and finances because this technology comes from somewhere. But I feel like you watch a movie that's 90 minutes. Take that 90 minutes and do some research. You go out to eat, depending on where you go, about 40 to 80 bucks. Take that money, go buy yourself a microphone. Buy yourself uh going out to eat 4 times, that'd be about $200. You can buy yourself a Chromebook on Amazon for that. And now you have something to make content on. A cell phone, you can do it on your cell phone. So it's just about priorities and knowing how powerful a dollar really is. Your money is so powerful. It's just what do you spend it on? Oh, that's how I'm think about that one.
Mm. Okay, I remember the question I wanted to ask earlier. Then I have my last question.
Okay.
Give me 3 to 5 of your favorite books, most
Three.
impactful.
Ooh, 100 years of lynching. Be careful with that one though. You got to be in tune with yourself spiritually, because that's going to take you through some dark things. Autobiography of Malcolm X. Um, books that have stuck with me. A letter to my children, the poetry book I'm writing. Mm, oh, and there's this. You know what? I'm gonna throw one out there. It is Hair Love. My daughter is absolutely by Vashti Harrison, I believe. My daughter is infatuated with that book, and so I'm gonna throw her out there. Shout out to Vashti for that book. That's my four.
I love that. Oh man. Okay, so we got to make sure we get you a copy of "You're Not Crazy." That's my book,
Okay,
so we can
I
add
got
that
you.
to the list.
I got it. I got it.
Okay, so last question. Oh
Okay.
man, what does healing with spirit mean to you?
Solitude, cutting yourself off from society. Turn your phone off. Turn the TV off. Close your door and lock it, and get a piece. Oh, you know what's waiting on you on that desk? A piece of paper and a pen. And you get a nice pen. You get a nice pen or pencil, one you like to write with. You get some paper that you like the texture of and you like the way, and just sign your name a couple times. For I want you to feel yourself. I want you to gain that confidence in yourself. Stun a little bit, not on other people, but stunt for you. Sign your name, make it eloquent. Find a signature you like. And you start writing things down like I love myself because I'm amazing, because I'm incredible, fantastic, phenomenal, superb, exemplary, magnificent. I mean, it's so many different adjectives we could use. And you just start writing stuff like that. You know what? Here's the people in my life that are important to me. Here's why. Here's what they do to help me. And same energy. Here's what they do to hurt me. This is what I benefit from being around them. Who are people in my life that make me better, and list their names. Who are people in life that make me worse? I mean, let's keep the same energy on both sides. These are people that I do things with that aren't. Remember, there's no in between. There's either progressive or regressive. When I'm around these people, we're most likely going to commit regressive behavior, and these are them. When I'm around these people, they're most likely going to commit progressive behavior, and here are these things. And when you start to get, oh, that piece of paper is a dangerous thing, because it's only a piece of paper and you have to write on it. But when you start to get more specific and write it down and then leave it there, turn it over so you can't cheat and sneak at your notes, come back at it tomorrow or later on after you eat or do whatever you need to do and read it out loud to yourself, you're going to be upset at it for a while. But just remember, it's only a piece of paper. It's what you wrote down. And you'll find it. You'll find it. Shout out to
Mm.
the piece of paper too, and the pen.
And the pen, okay? That is so good. One of the things that you said, it made me think about something I used to say as a child, which is I love having these type of conversations because it let me know that little Victoria wasn't crazy.
Mm,
She lost her voice and she was very intuitive, but the world wasn't there yet.
yeah,
So she didn't have that information. She didn't know that's what was going on. She just thought she was crazy. So
yeah,
when you said that, you said something that sparked what I used to say to myself is everyone's going to hurt you, but you have to find out who's worth that pain.
mm,
Who's, you know, who do you have that is progressive, that may have made an accident or it wasn't intentional.
yeah.
So I'm like, oh my goodness. Okay. That was really powerful. I hope that people get the gems that you dropped. Tell people where they can find you, get more of you, because
Okay.
I know they're gonna come looking.
Um, I used to put my social media out and have my website as a sidekick, but this is what I recommend to everybody. Do not have your main information on social media. If they block your account or remove you, you lose everything. And so get you a website. You can go on a lot of different sites and they'll charge you 5, 10. It's a lot of work because you got to create yourself, but then it's yours. It's your landing page where people can focus on you and then have the social media as a sidekick. Because if you're on there, they control everything you do without us realizing it. Where you can find me is www.omariaa.com. I'm going to say it again, omariaa.com. And you'll get the intention. You'll get the intention. The Black Excellence Gallery, go to the shop, 25% off on everything. Even if you don't buy it, just read it and tell me what you think. The money will come. I'm not worried about the money right now. The biggest thing is feedback and um, conversations. That's what I'm looking for.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much, Amari, for coming,
Oh,
for
come on.
just sharing. I'm just honored to have conversations like
Oh,
this
chill,
and
chill out, chill out. The honor's mine.
just speaking. No, it's important because I am creating the Disney of healing,
Mm,
and I need everybody on board because we have to have these conversations. We're trying to reprogram the mind here. It's not going to be easy, and we have to attack it from every angle.
mm.
So I'm just grateful that you've come and you've just poured into us. Um, you also, I made a post about this, about wanting a homicide hotline.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
And I'm thinking like I'm gonna make it when I make it, right? But
yeah.
you were just like, no, I'm gonna make it now. So
Absolutely.
can you just quickly tell people
Yeah.
what you did and
I had a partner of mine, and we were talking about different social services, and he brought up the J. Cole about the J. Cole quote, and it kind of stuck with me. And I said, you know what? Instead of waiting for it or talking about why we don't have it, I'll just make it myself. I have a Google number that I don't use that often, so I'll just make it. People that are thinking about taking somebody else's life or taking their own, most people want to text. So I said, okay, we'll make it text, and they can text or call the Homicide Hotline, and it's just a resource for. It's just a person that's here. That number is 405-254-6557, and it's something. We'll get better and better as we go. But the worst thing we could do is to do nothing. I like that one. That was a deep. I like that one. I'm gonna hold on to that one.
yeah, you can't say it no better than that. Well, thank you so much for watching a Melanated Hypothesis podcast. Thank you, Omari, for joining us.
You're welcome.
This was amazing. Make sure you do some healing today. Process your day is so important. I'm Victoria. Peace. I'm out.